I'm Jason Goliath,
And I'm Nicholas Goliath.
and this is a new podcast called The Happiness Economy, where we try and unpack, figure out, investigate, interrogate, I think holistically understand what is happiness even.
What is it to you? What is it to me? Is it different? Is it the same? What do you do to chase your happiness? Just chase it. We want to chat to people who we believe have found their happiness or are on the way to finding their happiness and find out what it is that makes them happy.
So, if you're happy, we're happy. The Happiness Economy with Nicholas and Jason Goliath. Tell her what you must. A very exciting episode of the Happiness Economy today. Somebody who, man, you're going to meet people in your life that leave you with a question mark. You're going to walk into rooms and meet people that you've met before. There may be different names and faces, but the type of people they are, you'll understand, know from experience how to deal with them. This next person is a person that I've met a few times and still don't know how to deal with him because they are extraordinary. To say they are cut from a special cloth is also a hint at what they do for a living. So, one of the most creative minds, please welcome to the Happiness Economy podcast, Angela Weickl.
Thank you.
A lot of you didn't know that that's her real name. So, and thank you very much. We always set it up as quickly as we can. We invite people on the podcast who, based on our perception, are happy. The podcast is about trying to figure out what happiness is. The thing we figured out so far is that happiness doesn't exist the way we all think it exists. It definitely isn't a forever and ever thing, but is more, it happens in the moment, in the right now type of thing. Our objective is to get to a point, is there a recipe that we can come up with to live the happiest possible version of your life? That doesn't mean there's no bad days. That doesn't mean there's no pain, no depression, no anxiety, no negativity. But it just means overall, the arch of your life, can we make it as happy as possible? We've come up with, we call it GAP. And GAP essentially is 3 words that we use on a daily basis that we feel are the most... or the easiest to 100%, the most relevant building blocks to our happiness, and those words are gratitude, acceptance, and perspective. And we know that you do unbelievable things. I'm going to give you a second to tell people what you actually do so that I don't mess it up, and then we're going to get into it. So, and who are you and what do you do?
I suppose like the term now is multi-hyphenate creative.
A slashy.
Right? A slashy, which I've been doing multiple things my whole life. Mostly because I have a lot of interest in a lot of things. And I'm also quite I lived quite an unsettled life. So it was always trying different things because it took interest, but also just moving around a lot. So right now, I'm a culture and network manager for Levi's South Africa, working in a creative space where we do customization and events for the brand and that kind of stuff. I'm also a co-director for an NGO called She Said So South Africa, which is part of a global organization called She Said So, and we work in the interest of women and gender minorities in the music industry. I DJ, I do creative consultation on things, and I'm also a talent agent for other very talented people like stylists and musicians and that kind of stuff. So I do all of the admin in the background because I'm a freak of nature and I really like admin.
Because you don't like sleeping.
Freak of nature.
I actually sleep a lot. That's the terrifying
Please tell me
part.
Freak of Nature is your DJ name. What's your DJ name?
It's just Ange now, just
Just
A-N-G,
Ange?
yeah, which is where that blurred line comes from,
Yeah.
where I don't know if I know someone or not because
Okay.
of, but not freak of nature, no.
DJ Freak of Nature.
I used to work in hospitality for a very long time, and I, have quite a high stamina when I'm working.
Yeah.
And so people used to tell me, "Oh, you're such a machine," which I used to take as such a compliment. But then I realized, oh, burnout.
Yeah.
is
Yeah. No, it's a
sick.
real thing.
Right, yeah.
Just
So,
being-
but I do a lot of things. They're all creative based. And I just, I love it because I think it just came from I want to squeeze as many things into my life as possible before it's done.
Fantastic, and you're doing them at a beautiful level. So congratulations on your whole life.
Thank you.
Nice place to start. Yeah, well done on your life. Eh?
Good job on your life. Thanks.
gratitude for us, it's always where we start, because gratitude, acceptance, perspective. But the gratitude, essentially, Nick and I always agreed one of the fundamentals of finding some semblance of happiness in your life is being able to be close to your gratitude. What does gratitude mean to you?
Gratitude is, for me, is an intentional and constant reflection on what my life looks like and what I'm achieving, and giving a lot of perspective to the bad days in comparison to the good days, because I do understand on an objective level that I have a very exciting and fulfilling and interesting life.
Yeah.
And a bad day doesn't reflect that.
Yes.
Anything else is different to that, no matter how bad I feel in that moment. Can I? Cool.
And then you just shoot yourself.
So because of my current work context, I've started swearing a lot less, to the point where there's some people who've never heard me swear, which is completely out of character, because I do swear a lot. So when you're having a shit day, right, it can feel like the end of the world. But when you're really practice gratitude, you can self-regulate on the bad days, which I think is really important. So for me, my gratitude practice is to always remind myself of where I am and what I've achieved and what I have in my life, so that the bad days are just a day.
Just that.
Yeah.
It's just a day in the mix of the joy.
Yeah.
Is anxiety a thing for you?
This is so funny. I had dinner with one of my friends last week, and she asked me if I was on antidepressants, and I was like, not one day in my life. And she was like, you're raw dogging life. This is crazy. And I was like,
you told us off camera that your nickname was Riz Khalifa. I don't think you're raw dogging life. I feel like I feel like your friend doesn't know.
Yeah.
I know she knows, but I think it's if we talk about what on a professional level, medications and all that kind of stuff. Because I stopped drinking alcohol 5 years ago.
Nice.
Because I was over it. And before that, I was the biggest jola known, right? And I think, sorry, I've joked myself into forgetting the question.
The question was, does anxiety play a role?
Anxiety, yeah, clearly not.
I'm fine.
I was like, I even forgot what you asked me. What's anxiety? So I have experienced a little bit of anxiety, in very specific times where it has been overwhelming. I feel the physical manifestation of it, other people have described to me, and that has been quite unsettling. But an ongoing anxiety, not so much. I saw something on TikTok the other day where someone was like, oh, anxiety means you don't get angry enough because you don't have an outlet. And I've been very angry in my life, so maybe that's got something
you've
to do
sworn
with
all
it,
your
right?
swearings.
I think maybe, I think just I don't experience debilitating anxiety because I let all of my feelings be experienced and let them out. So I also could be talking absolute shit.
I mean,
don't know.
it's all just lived experience. But the reason I brought it up is I read a study that said anxiety and gratitude are manufactured in the same part of the brain, and that part of the brain can only manufacture one of those things at a time. So when I meet somebody who that's the clearest articulation of gratitude we've ever had on the podcast, where somebody out the blocks goes, oh, I'll tell you about my gratitude, this is what it's based on, this is how I keep it consistent. So that's why I was like, does that mean that you suffer a lot less anxiety than most people because you're so clued up, because you're so focused on your gratitude and conscious of your gratitude?
Probably. I mean, I do a lot of work on myself. I think especially when I stopped drinking, I had to confront a lot of things that I kind of let glaze by because I was like, oh, we can joel this away, we can have a beer, it'll be fine, all that kind of stuff. I did a lot of ugly work in the last 5 years to get to this point now where I can understand my feelings and all of that. And so I think, what I understand of other people's anxiety, I don't experience the same thing. I also tell people I wasn't always this outgoing and comfortable with things. This also was learned, I was actually quite shy around strangers when I was very young. I was very open with family and people I was comfortable with, but it took a lot longer to get comfortable around other people for
Why
a
do you
very
think it
long
was?
time.
Is it
Especially in my
that don't talk
teens.
to strangers?
Yeah. And I think in my teens, I just didn't think I was interesting at all. You know, I had quite a strict upbringing, which meant I didn't have a very social life when I was a teen.
Yeah.
So by the time I finished high school, I just didn't think I was interesting at all. So I didn't know how to start a conversation with someone. I could partake in a conversation, didn't know how to break the ice, didn't know how to start a conversation. So if someone else wasn't doing it, I would not say a
be
word
quiet.
like ever,
Yeah.
right? But my brain would be racing
Yeah.
to be like, how do I
Yeah.
start this
What should I say? What should I
conversation?
say?
How do I get this person to talk to me? So like me wanting to do it was probably where the anxiety was. I was like freaking myself out about starting a conversation that I would just sit in silence, you know?
So you said you had quite a what is the word you used for your upbringing?
Strict.
No, before strict, it sounded like you moved around a lot.
Oh, so yeah. So no, my unsettled was
Oh,
like once
unsettled.
I kind of left home.
Ah.
Yeah. Because I think I had so many constraints when I was at home
Okay.
and rules and all of that. It was kind of like,
You went to the other extreme,
Ram-
which is like
yeah.
we used to make jokes about Saint Teresa's. Girls that went to an all-girls school generally became extreme.
I went to
before.
all girls high school.
So,
under
well,
duress,
I
yeah.
mean, look at that. Not
Under
just a
duress,
pretty face, man.
you know?
Brains.
Yeah, so I was co-ed when we were in Joburg, and then we moved to Cape Town
Yeah.
in my second year of high school. And my parents were like, you'll go to the school that's closest to where we find a place to
Yeah.
live. And we moved in across the road from my high school,
Which was an all-girls.
which was an all-girls high
And
school.
everybody thinks living across the road from school is so cool because you
It's
get to
not at all, right? It's like you're reminded that school exists every
Every day.
single minute of
Even,
every single
even
day.
on holidays, you see the school.
Exactly, right? School
Yeah, what a
holiday, and you're
terrible- I
like,
can think
oh,
of
I'm
nothing
gonna
worse.
go downstairs. Oh, look, it's
I don't want to
school.
think about Mr. Van der Walt during Christmas holidays.
No, imagine.
Exactly.
Now you decide to stay at home, then you just go over the intercom. Angela, can you please come to school?
You know what? Because in the short school terms, they wouldn't switch off the bell like in
Yes.
holidays. So you would hear the
Yes.
bell every single day for 2 weeks.
Oh, trauma.
Yeah. But I also used to do things like wake up 5 minutes before I had to go to school.
Yeah, that I'm jealous
Because my
of.
parents were already at work.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, so I think, yeah, high school was rough, which I feel like most people who
Yeah.
do well later in life had a terrible high school experience.
Oh yes.
you
Those who
know?
are doing well at high school,
Are you
that's their glory days, eh?
are you
Those
grateful that you didn't peak at high school? Because we had this chat just the other day
Yeah.
about, thank goodness.
For sure. Like, especially socially. Like, I was smart and good in school. I had to do really well because it was required.
Yeah.
But I did well enough that I was keeping my parents happy, but I would keep it under the radar of, like, needing to do extra things because I was doing so well. Because I was also part of school when then you did well once and then they wanted to put you in
Yeah,
this
that's what you've
competition
gotta
and this
do.
kind of stuff and then extra exams and all of this shit. And I was like, I just want to get out of here with a pass, you know?
That is me, the bare minimum.
Yeah, bare minimum, but still keeping my parents happy.
The bare
you know?
minimum for your parents. It's
Yeah.
not the bare minimum for Cyril's
For the
pass
school-
rate. It's bare minimum to not get a backhand and to have a nice holiday and to still get a
Yeah.
birthday present.
And so getting a good education, because also my education was really expensive. And I'm not from a well-off family. Like, my parents paid a lot of money for my education and my brother's education up until we qualified and started working. And I will never, like, not credit them for that because my education back then, I mean, I finished high school in 2002. It was
Oh, it's the same year as me.
expensive back then already. I think about that now and it makes
Just
me
stupid.
ill now thinking what it
Tertiary
is,
education,
right?
stupid.
Yeah. And so I'm glad I didn't peak in high school socially because, you know, I always say to everyone, before we left Joburg, my standard 6 year, the friends I had there
Yeah.
and the school I was going to, because I grew up in the south of Joburg.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
In the south.
in the south, you know.
In the south.
And
No, you've done well.
thank you. I appreciate it.
The South, if you
No
don't know,
excuse.
the South, think about the scene in Fast and Furious where they're prying in the backyard
Yeah.
of Dom's house. That house is in Alberton. Let me tell you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
free. That house, it's in Alberton. That's exactly the South, as is.
You know what's funny is like people who grew up in the south of Joburg, we've all gravitated towards each other. So we having a chat and like, oh my god,
You know why?
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, family, exactly. Yeah, I actually am from the Fast and the Furious.
The slow and the serious.
Yeah, slow and serious. And I think that, you know, growing up in the South and the friend group I had and all, and my trajectory, if we had stayed in Joburg, I probably would have had a child when I was 16. And I can see that now, right? Like, just crazy.
How grateful are you to your parents for making that decision on your behalf?
I mean, in the moment, I
Looking
was
back,
so
yeah.
angry
Of
at
course.
them because I like, you know, finishing your first year of high school and then going to a new high school and having to do
The
a
whole
fresh
thing.
thing when everyone's already made friends. Plus, you take boys out the mix all of a sudden. So now I have to be friends with only girls, teenage girls,
Worst.
going through puberty.
Worst.
Ooh, it was terrifying. So back then I was super angry. Now I'm grateful because I think it also made me like a really adaptable person, right? You know, and I work in you know, I work for a brand and like in the marketing department and like, you know, we love the word agility. And I am very like adaptable and agile because you just had to make it work, you know.
Because it is what it is.
It is what it is, you know. So we made this big move across the country, and then you know, I went to school, and because I grew up in the south of Joburg, I had a very attractive accent,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously. And my mom was like, when we move to Cape Town, you need to know that everyone speaks like they have a hot potato in their mouth. That's the Cape Town accent.
Please, I know she did an example.
Yeah,
Please
like
do
a
the example.
one of those, right? And my mom grew up in Cape Town. Right? And my mom is Cape Townian, so she could say it. And I went to school, and, you know, there's a lot of things. Like, because I went from a public school to a semi-private
Yeah.
school, they didn't believe that my marks on my report was to the standard of them.
Yes.
So I had to prove that I'm smart enough. So I was put in, like, lower classes. Aside from like all the testimonials from my previous school, nothing, they were like, yeah, but that you're like smart in public school, that's different, right? So I was like, this is sick. Good start. Then I opened my mouth in class on the first day to answer a question, and the whole class burst out laughing.
You forgot the potato.
And I was like, okay, I'm never speaking ever again. And then after the first term, they were like, oh, our bad, you are smart enough. And then they moved me into a different class. So I had to get to know a whole bunch of new people again.
I went from private to public
Yeah.
when we were allowed to go to Model C.
Yeah.
I had the same thing in terms of my perception that
Yeah.
I was smarter. Then I was not. I still told you that I don't know a verb, a pronoun. I can't because they were ahead. We hadn't learned that kak, and then I was too shy to say.
Yeah.
I never learned it. So listen, semi-private, don't feel yourself. Public schools, those people are clever.
Yeah.
And they have to be clever because
Yeah.
they have nothing else. So,
Exactly. Like,
so know yourself.
Like
I
you-
don't want to get into schools though.
Yeah.
Because we're very good at getting into things we shouldn't.
yeah.
You said that school is not when you peaked, very reserved, very quiet.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of insecurities normal at that age. Was there a moment when things changed? Because you said you learned to. Was there like a moment where all of a sudden you decided to learn? Or was it just one of those things where you kind of looked back and was like, oh shit, I have a deep personality now and I'm a vibe? Because you're a vibe.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it was like the encountering like the real world for the first time. Like I finished high school, and so I'd always had like as a teenager, I had very like seemingly niche interests for the time. Like when I was like 11, I wanted to be a graffiti artist. I had no like artistic talent at all. My brother's was the
Yeah.
artistic one.
Taps. Shout out.
Yeah, it's actually me.
No lies.
For a while in my like late 20s, my friends used to joke that I was Banksy to like strangers, and we would just play along with it. But
Are you Banksy, just for the record?
no.
Just checking.
That's exactly what Banksy would say.
But yeah, so, and looking back, it was all creative stuff. So like wanted to be a graffiti artist, didn't know what that meant, but like stuck papers all over my cupboard door and drew on them to make like a mural. but on the paper.
I drew
right?
straight
Nice.
on my cupboard door
Yeah.
and got a hiding.
Yeah, listen.
You got you made a mural. He got moored.
Yeah, exactly.
It rhymed
mural.
much better.
A
mural.
Mural. There's it. I knew it was it was close. It was close.
Well, that was a collaboration. I love it. So yeah, that. Then I also used to like make mixtapes off the radio and all that kind of stuff. And so there was always this interest in like, and I used to take my like little cassette deck apart completely and then put it back together. And every like third time it wouldn't work, but then the rest it would. So I finished high school, had like this slight music interest, but it wasn't like to play or to sing or anything, and this creative stuff. And I took a gap year because I actually was supposed to study marine biology. You know, you tell
how
someone.
boring would your life have been
I
now?
know, but like you tell someone once that you like a dolphin, and that becomes your personality. You know, everything, notebook, pillow, t-shirts, blankets, all that kind of stuff. You know, and I got one book by Jacques Cousteau, like the most famous marine biologist, oceanographer ever, and I was like, oh my god, I could be a boat in the ocean, blah blah blah. And I think it's also just living in Cape Town.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
You know. And I was sold on that, but I missed the intake for the course because I was trying to pass matric. So then I took a gap year, did nothing for 6 months.
Nice.
My dad came home and was like, go get a job, please. I would like be in my pajamas at 5 p.m., you
Best
know,
life.
watching
Best life.
Days of Our Lives or
Yeah.
something. And he would come home and I'd like only just washed the dishes and defrosted the chicken like 20 minutes ago, you know, just on the couch all day. And he was like, came home with the newspaper and there was an open day for like a sound engineering college. And he was like, you like this kind of stuff, let's go. Took me to the open day, fell in love immediately, studied sound engineering, right? Enter now college, adult people everywhere.
Yeah.
80% dudes and no idea how to socialize or be interesting or anything. So I was like, I'm just going to do my work and slowly. And
I
then
feel like neither did the 80% dudes.
for sure, but you
'Cause they
don't
were
know
also,
that.
sound
I mean, I hadn't
engineers.
spoken to a guy my own age
No
Since
excuse
standard
to the
six.
sound
since standard
engineers.
6, right? So,
That's how old we are. It was standard 6.
Yeah.
She went to grade
8.
no. Standard 6 was grade 8.
Yeah.
So she went to grade 9,
Grade
but she
9.
went to standard 6.
Yeah. So, yeah. So enrolled, went the next year, entered the real world, learned all these dynamics, developed crushes on dipshits, learned a lot of cool stuff. All of a sudden I was working technically in the music industry at like 20 years old,
Yeah.
19, 20 years old. Then it was a 1-year course, graduated, got a job like almost immediately as a sound engineer, like a small like dinner theater club thing.
Yeah.
Now I'm meeting like professional musicians and all this kind of stuff, and thrust into this world where I have to now talk to strangers all the time and be interesting all
Yes.
the time. So I had to force myself to be okay with that, and I think that's where it really started. But I actually had this. I was having a conversation with someone else about my life a couple of days ago, and I realized something in that conversation while I was talking is that what happened because I went into like the music industry and entertainment straight away is that I actually developed a persona before I developed my personality. And that explains the whole of my 20s. I clicked into that, and the whole of my 20s just went, oh, this makes so much sense.
Damn, I think you just
I was that
explained my
person.
20s.
Right?
Do you, do
Shit.
you think the going to the new school, moving to Cape Town,
Yeah.
played a role in you then making it easier, I suppose, to force yourself or to create that persona to have the conversations because you had
Yeah.
to be forced into?
Yeah. I think so, because what also happened was the minute we moved to Cape Town, I became so independent because my parents were at work all day and
Yeah.
my brother was at college all day. And I was across the road from school and all that kind of stuff. And like, so I was on my own, like all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm either on my own looking after myself all the time, or I'm engaging and around people who need me to be interesting. So I was like very solitary and then like switched on to be interesting.
So you create the two personalities there already.
And I think so I stayed like quiet, solo, independent, like very chill for most of the time, and then I would just like switch into being like outgoing and all that kind of stuff until I discovered alcohol, you know, and then it was kind of
Yeah,
And you can combine the two.
yeah.
Our
Make
powers
one
combined.
superpower.
you know?
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Building the bridge between what you think you know about yourself and what you'd like to
I
know.
only got drunk for the first time when I was 20.
I was 22.
14.
It's not a
Yeah,
competition.
yeah.
No,
No.
no, I'm joking.
Do you strike me as, is it fair to say that you are, especially compared to people around you, hyper self-aware?
Yes.
How do you think that's affected your happiness journey? Because if somebody is hyper self-aware, they are forever overthinking how they make people feel, what they should be making people feel, what they'd like to be making people feel, what they think people want them to make them feel. Like
And
it's-
that one silly thing they said that one time that
Yes.
they still hate till
So,
today.
so somebody
Yeah.
who's not as self-aware speaks up in the class laugh, they don't even realize what the class is laughing at, they carry on with their lives. Somebody that's hyper self-aware puts your mom's sentence plus what you just did, plus how they reacted, plus now how you felt about that, and then you literally it's fair to go, you didn't talk for the rest of the year. I don't even think that's like an exaggeration, like, you know what I mean, it could happen like that. How do you think that deep sense of self-awareness, higher so than normal people around you, how do you think that's affected your happiness over the years?
So I think for a very long time I thought I was self-aware, but I actually wasn't, because now that I understand what that is and I look back and I go, like, there were moments where I'm like, because I was doing like a really good job at work,
Yeah.
and I was very efficient and everything ran really well, but if I happened to be like unfairly like mean or aggressive to someone, but I am good at my job,
Yeah.
it shouldn't matter. And in those moments I was like, no, they're being sensitive, whatever, because I actually wasn't self-aware that you can be really good at what you do and not be a dick to everyone,
Yeah.
right? So like reflecting, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I was wrong in those situations. But I think the balance I have now with my self-awareness is that I'm never going to say I don't overthink things, right? But it's about understanding the context of things in an interaction. And if you have done something wrong, it's like holding yourself accountable for it, and it's letting everything else go, right? If I have a bad feeling about an interaction based on my behavior, I'll go out of my way to reach out to that person and apologize.
Yeah.
But if it's a situation where I'm like, I'm not really sure, but also could have been both of us, I'm just gonna let that go now, because otherwise I'll drive myself insane worrying about every single interaction. So it's really about a happy medium where you can pay attention to everything, but you can't let everything keep your attention, right?
I'm smiling because this is literally like, we just get giddy that the fact that we went gratitude, acceptance, perspective, and the more we speak to people, the more right that saying is. Because in one breath you've told us about your gratitude, and in one breath you've spoken about acceptance and how you've had to accept certain things about yourself, things that are right, things that are wrong, things that you thought were right, and now I've had to admit that are wrong. Accountability to self, never mind accountability to everybody around you, and then perspective, being able to change the lens, being able to decide what affects you, where you're going to react, what's gonna take your power. Is it fair to say that Ange has accepted who Ange is, who, what, why, and where you are, and where does that acceptance come from? Because it's not a natural thing that we're all able to acquire.
Yeah, I think for like who I am right now, I love everything about myself and my life and everything, because I've had to kind of, all the work that I did, I had to really assess like what definitely needs work and what needs help, and what is just like a canon event in your life that you have to go through, and what is like always going to be simmering in the background and you can't let it like have a grip on you, right?
And also, like, who are you? And
Yeah,
what are your non-negotiables?
exactly. And like a boundary, and a boundary hates to see me coming, because I will enforce it with anyone and everyone, because also like, I mean, I was like fully burnt out when we went into lockdown, but I had no time to even think about it.
Yeah.
And then for 3 weeks, I got the best rest of my entire
Yes.
adult life. And I was like, oh, got to change some things here. And I think like it's also like getting older. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
your 20s suck because you care too much what everyone else thinks,
Yeah.
you know? And it's not, I mean, on a very surface level, I can say I don't care what people think of me. As in, like, you will have a lot of people have an opinion on you
Just
regardless
based on,
of what you contribute to that,
Yeah.
right? And that's the kind of stuff where you just let it go, right? You build like affirmations around like how you interact with the world. Like how someone feels about you is none of your business until they come to tell you, right?
Absolutely.
If we're pursuing like whether you like me or not, that is a lot of time that I don't have to spend on that. And it will also affect like my self-esteem and all of that. And like I'm a very confident person now, which means that I'm stronger in understanding what can affect me and what doesn't affect me. And I also know how to like self-regulate and look after myself in situations that might not be serving me or I might not be like feeling good about it. But essentially, this is the best version of myself that I've ever been. And it comes with age because you really have perspective on what matters and what doesn't matter. And just having like good people in your life who have the same intentions for you and respect like your boundaries, your lifestyle, your choices and all that kind of stuff, and want to kind of like enjoy it with you rather than like judging you. My 20s was full of like friendships that I thought were really close but like very judgmental and very questioning and all that kind of stuff, you know. When I moved back to Johannesburg, when I decided to do it in 2017, end of 2017, my best friend at the time told me it was a huge mistake and was so negative about it. And I just said to her, I can just move back if it doesn't work out, right? And then like 6 months later, our friendship fell apart for other reasons. But like you reflect on like how negative people or judgmental people were in their 20s because it's all based on other people's insecurities as much as your own, right?
Yes.
And I could just recommend to everyone, just get older, grow up, like embrace it, you know?
It's just so
Like
people are
embrace
terrified.
your age.
Oh, it's so
Terrified
nice.
about getting older, and it comes with so much knowledge and so much less stress and more stress at the same time. Peace.
I would
Yes.
rather have a pain in my knee every time I walk up the stairs at 43 than be 23 and care what you think about the way I walk.
Exactly.
I can't say it better.
Couldn't
I
agree more.
can't say it better than that. So it definitely is a gift. I do a bit on stage that came from example of chatting to, I've always like how data engineers, they mine the data, then they do data extraction, then they find points there. Then I'm always like, there's data. Ask questions if you're not sure about something. You don't have to just get one. And I asked many men, like before getting married, like for some reason the question was, what is the best age to be a man? And I didn't ask young men. I asked many men in their 60s plus. And all of them came with basically the same answer. And that answer was, in your 20s, your life is shit because you are too broke and too horny to make good decisions. In your 30s, you start getting your horniness under control. You start learning one or two things. Your salary starts to make a little bit of sense. You can start moving towards a much better life and start setting a foundation. Your most powerful years as a man, your legacy years, are your 40s because your money is right, your body is right, and your mind is right. In your 50s, your body starts to go, but your mind is still strong and your money's never been more right, so it's good. And your 60s depend on how you treated your body in your 20s. Then I was just like, that as a saying should be a t-shirt. It changed the way I
I
turned.
say, can it be a whole
Back to back.
tracksuit?
No, but it changed the way I felt about turning 40. Like instead
Yeah.
of being dreading it like most men are, I looked forward to it because I was like, the data means I'm about to head into the best time of my life.
Yeah.
So let me not wait until the end of it to go, oh shit, that was the best time of my life. Let me, go and make it the best time of my life. What is the best time of your life? You just said right now.
Right now, and next year it'll be next year, and the year after that. I turn 40 next year,
Welcome.
which is thank you. I'm
Shout out.
excited. My favorite thing, and it has been for like the last 10 years, is the actual physical jump scare when people hear how old I am because I look younger than I
But
am.
your vibes
right?
are also young.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
vibes
yeah.
are young. And so, and no one believes me, but I like shifting the perspective of what
What
40 looks like,
Right,
especially for
yes.
women, right? Because
Absolutely.
I know a lot of women my age who are just like me, but we work in the creative industry.
Yeah.
And I think the perspective is like people are thinking about what their mom was like when she was 40.
Yeah.
But if you look at what your mom looked like when she was 40, it's probably not that different
Big
to
facts.
me, right? It's just like your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my mind, my mom's been 60 for years.
Yeah.
All her life.
Yeah. Because it's like parent age is just a older person who keeps telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I also have very good genes. My mom like looks super young.
Because we know where you were.
Yeah. Honestly,
Forget you're dealing with professionals. Forget you're dealing with
I would have been
professionals.
disappointed if you hadn't done that, to be fair.
You've given us so many gems. Generally, we'd have to go through a painstaking gratitude, acceptance perspective. But I really feel like you just, through telling us your story, you've touched on all of those. So we have to jump straight to the wrap up, which is the Goliath Happiness Index. We rate them 1 to 5, where you are in your life right now. 1 being couldn't be worse, 5 being couldn't be better. Where is Ange when it comes to gratitude in her life today?
I would say 4, because there's always room for improvement and to be happier. But I think 4 is very big, even in comparison to like the beginning of the year. Because I think we all have like phases and waves we go through, and I was miserable at the beginning of the year on like a social level, as in like a friendship interaction, and I had to do something about that, and I have. But even then I was like, I'm in a good relationship, I'm so happy, my job is great, blah blah blah, but I'm so lonely and I'm so sad. How do I change this? Did a bunch of things to change that. So probably the beginning of the year was maybe like a 2.5.
Can
now
I
I'm a
ask,
4.
As you said
what
before.
are some of those things? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who go through those situations and have no idea. That I feel like they don't even realize that the social circles they're in are toxic, or that it's something that possibly needs to change. Because our previous interview was with Carvin, and we had the same conversation about when you grow, how people around you expect you to still be the same person.
Yeah.
So what are the things, like, how did you know, first of all, that you needed to change? And then what are, like, just a few of the things that you had to do?
So how I knew was because as dynamic and interesting as my life was, I was experiencing like a very visceral feeling of loneliness. Like it was making me upset day to day for like a little while. And I was like, I'm either going to have to go get professional help, or I'm going to have to try a few things. So I think taking an interest in like other people's lives, because I interact with so many people on a weekly basis, it's like be even more interested, and also find activities that can involve other people. Like I have dogs, so I walk my dogs all the time, but you can walk without your dog, so you can go with your friends to the park and go for a walk. Like also just slightly health-based activities, but that's still social. And then at the end of April, I went to check out a running club in Rosebank, because a brand that sponsors them, a beer brand, I know the people who work there, and they were like, oh, we're going to this running club for activity, but we're going to walk. And I was like, oh, I love walking. So I went, did a walk, and was like, this is great. And the running club people were so nice that I was like, can I start a walking group? Because a lot of the running clubs are very serious. Like we're training for marathon kind of thing.
Yes, they wear Sauconys.
Yeah.
You know those Saucony
And
people.
I was like, I'm the personality hire here. I just want to do a quick walk. I'm sure other people want to. And I just came back the next week, and I kind of like imposed myself on the running club, and they let me start the walking club. And now it's grown into this whole thing where people come when they want to. It's like every Wednesday, we go when we're available. And that has like socially has like opened up. So it's like finding a group activity that is based around something that you have interest in. You know, things like paddle, all of that. I know like it's all like a trend, but that's how, when you're a grown up,
Yeah, 100%.
that's how you make
socialize.
friends. That's how you
have to
socialize.
do other things. Step
Yeah.
out of your comfort
We've
zone.
we've got a thing on stage that we speak about in terms of the acceptance part, right? And we go, acceptance is the most important part, but it's difficult because it can feel like you're surrendering, or like a cop out, or like you're settling. But we go, no, you have to accept where you are. So I look at it. So the analogy says that, think about it as a GPS. We use a GPS every day. accepting where you are. The GPS can take you anywhere in the world, but it can't help you if you're not willing to tell it where you are right now. So you first have to tell it where you are right now, then tell it where you'd like to go. Then it works out this route. Then all you have to do is, instead of focusing on where you'd like to be, take step one. Become obsessed only within 200 meters, turn right. Then what you've just said now is you literally went, the beginning of this year, I became very conscious that I was going through loneliness, which we've spoken about in other episodes, is one of the most devastating things anybody can go through. But I think a lot of people who are lonely deny that they're lonely, even to themselves. So they go, no, this is a choice. No, you know what I mean? So then,
But also because you're surrounded by people, you almost feel like
100%. You can be lonely in a crowd. You know the thing.
No,
Yeah.
So then to accept that you're lonely, to understand that the destination is anywhere that's not here sometimes, then to just go, then I did stuff. So instead of just doing nothing and expecting it all just to get better, you went, okay, I walk, so let me go and do this. I do this, so let me go and, oh, they don't have a walking club. Let me go and initiate. So it's
you that's running slow at the back. Come walk here with me.
Yeah, you can be the fastest walker instead of the slowest runner.
yes, just pretend, because you know what I mean. I've never run in. Let's just move on. But it's so. It makes me so happy to go that it literally is that simple. It literally is that simple. First, surrender to the where you are, and I say that word. Like, put your hands up and go, I am lonely. I don't like being lonely. Being lonely makes me feel uncomfortable. Once you've gone, I am, then you can go, where would I like to be, and then start the journey. But unless you start with I am, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So acceptance, 1 to 5,
Acceptance, 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
I don't think it was always like that.
No.
And that's the gift of get old.
Yeah.
Get old.
Yeah.
It's going to help you understand what you can't change.
Because you were a nerd.
Yeah.
I can see. And
Massive nerd, and then I got really cool in my 20s.
but that's the thing. That's what I was.
And it was so scary because I was like, I used to be bullied, and now I
For
could
being a-
literally throw a drink in someone's face and they'd be grateful.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
And you know, I spoke to, I can't remember who I was
DJ
speaking, but
Riz Khalifa.
I once mentioned to somebody as well. I was like, "Oh, you were a nerd at school,"
Yeah.
and then they said to me, because they took deep offense, and I was like, "No, it's not an offensive thing."
I'm still a nerd.
No, but it's being a nerd is not the negative connotation that we have.
No,
It's somebody who's passionate about a thing that not everybody's passionate
Yeah.
about. That's a nerd. Somebody who
Yeah.
learns more
Who geek out,
about
yeah.
a thing
I'm a big
than
geek.
anybody else learns about that
100%.
thing, and that then becomes cool. Because like for me now, I love anybody or I love engaging with anybody who's passionate about a thing.
Yeah.
I don't care what your thing is, whether it's collecting stamps, being a DJ, whatever it is. If you're passionate and I can see the passion,
Yeah.
that's where it makes me so happy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, like, honestly. And I think, yeah, that's why, like, this conversation about happiness and acceptance and all of that is so interesting, because, like, my 20s from the outside, no one could ever think that I was unhappy at any time. You know what I mean? I was, like, on big stages at festivals playing for tens of thousands of people sometimes.
killing
You know,
it.
like, I mean, I hung out with Skrillex at 5 o'clock in the morning in the club that I managed. You know, like, I got a compliment from Diplo about my DJing,
These
stuff
children
like
are
that. You know what I
Googling
mean?
Skrillex right now. They're Googling.
But like stuff like that, where I should in that moment go, those were the happiest years of my life. They were the happiest for that time.
Yeah.
But the perspective is like, that stuff was really cool. I'm never going to negate the fact that wasn't really cool.
Yeah.
But I love myself so much more now, and I am so much happier as a person rather than like a performer and like a persona, right? And like, that's real happiness. Like those was momentary joy, and then you also attach yourself to like instant gratification where now I have to make myself happy.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Big responsibility. But the second you realize it and own it, I think only then are you truly accessing that Champions League happiness. For real.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yes.
It's the 5% what happened to you, 95% how you react.
Yeah.
Where do you think you sit on that scale, 1 to 5?
I also say 4.5. I don't give anything a perfect score.
No, you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to, but I think it's definitely very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5.
And that comes with age and understanding yourself, understanding when to react, where to share your energy, where to
Yeah.
waste your energy.
Yeah.
Understand you don't need to waste your power on dumb people.
Yeah.
You know yourselves. You looked in. She looked. The person who felt the pain. That's
No, the problem is they don't know. They don't know that they don't. They only
Yeah.
you only realize in your
Yes.
later years. Oh shit!
Yes.
It was me that was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's your journey. We've all been through it. It's your journey
Yeah.
to find out when you're the dumb
The
person.
important thing is to understand and
Yeah.
work through it and accept.
Yeah.
Accept the journey that you're on and where you're going, and yeah.
I
be
think
passionate.
also just the nice thing about perspective as well is like all of the things that I really didn't like about myself in my 20s. I can look at it now and go, it wasn't as bad as I thought,
Yeah.
right? Which is also really nice. It's I don't have regrets. I can like feel differently about things, but I don't regret anything that I've done in my life, which is very important.
And you see that that's
brings you to where you are.
perspective and acceptance.
Yeah.
It's like that's why these three little words entice us so much, because every single thing can be linked back, and you can be grateful in the past. You can also accept in the past.
Yeah.
Like I can go back to go, I was very wrong then. That thing I did 10 years ago where I would have put money on the fact that I'm right, I was actually very wrong. That was asshole-ish. I don't want to be that person anymore. And I've accepted that I'm the type of guy that can be that
Yeah.
that person. The thing I admire most is, I don't think, this is such a weird thing to say, I don't think anybody, I love that you think you are cooler than anybody else than you need anybody else to. I love that you believe you're cooler
Yeah.
than you need anybody else to believe. Is that,
You are.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, for sure. I understand. Yeah, you're
No,
saying
and
it
that's
right. Yeah.
that's the key. Is
Yeah.
that we spoke about it in Calvin's episode as well, that you've got to accept
Yeah.
where you are and be
and
happy.
be happy with
Yeah.
you,
Happy
love
with
you.
where you are here now, in order to access your happiness. You can't access the gratitude when you're not happy with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bicycle.
Bicycle.
Nah?
Bicycle.
Weickl. I
You
made it
mixed
so
it.
early. Damn it. Damn it. I almost.
You let
Weickl.
the guy with the bicycle get the better of
Weickl.
you.
Angela Weickl, because I know your Weickl isn't in anything, please just give us your handles. These people need to follow you.
It's Cult of Ange on everything. CULTOFANG.
Cult of Ange on everything. If you're looking to be
We'll see you at the homestead.
inspired in your mind, your body, and your dress code, Cult of Ange is where you should follow. Cult of Ange. We can't thank you enough. Not only for the vibe you are. The reason Ange is here is because at Donovan's birthday, during Ange's hardest time of the year, Nicholas thought he was gonna win the bean toss. What do you call that thing?
Cornhole. Cornhole.
The
Yeah.
cornhole challenge. And my wife and I came out of nowhere
Yeah.
and won it. And in the moment of celebration, Ange was the only one connected to the Bluetooth. And as we went, to it, the Champions League
When it
anthem.
mattered, just like, I don't care what the losers think about me. Ba, 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 ba.
One of the greatest, most happiest moments of my year. So Ange, thank you. Wishing you nothing but the best. We
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see what you do next.
And you
And
feel
thank
like
you for
you
bringing the
are
vibes.
the human embodiment of you do you, boo boo.
Oh,
Ah.
I love that. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yay!
Yes, because it's that thing comes from a place of love. It's
Yes.
not a
Yeah.
fuck you, boo boo. It's
Yeah.
not fuck
It's
you.
a you
It's
do
do you.
you.
Does that make you happy, boo boo? Then
Yeah.
do you. Then do you, boo boo. I'm doing me.
Yeah.
I'm doing me. Do
Sick.
you, Ange?
Sick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you, Ange? Thank you for sharing with us.
Yay.
What a nice.
Correct,
Oh,
Sham.
then just look into that camera and tell them your name, your surname, and to watch the Happiness Economy podcast.
My name is Angela Weickl, and please watch the Happiness podcast. Happiness Economy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, let me do that again.
No.
No,
That's it.
As
It's
is.
done.
Perfect.
Okay,
It's sold.
wait,
You
I
are
don't
not the
care what
first
you
one. It's sold.
think.
You do you, boo boo. Do you, boo boo. Do you. Yes.